Above and Below the Line by Carl Thomas. In choosing the above the line job, I chose the director. The film directors create the overall vision. This includes seeing the artistic and technical elements of the film production, as well as directing and shooting the timetable and meeting deadlines. He has organization of the crew in such a way as to achieve his vision of the film. In pre-production, he reads the script and works with the producer to develop a vision for the project. He meets the department heads to relate his or her vision. They also work with the storyboard artists on storyboards, attend casting sessions to hire cast for the project. He rehearses with the actors and meets with the first assistant director to discuss the schedule. The director also goes on location scouts to approve or reject a location, and they write shot lists for each scene. They also work with the director of photography to execute different shots and directing the actors, working with the second assistant director to direct the atmosphere, and even works with editors to achieve the first cut of the project. And they may have the final approval for the finished product. To be a director, you will definitely have to have group leadership skills. I mean, you need to be able to maintain your focus even in a stressful environment on a set. It's also necessary to have an artistic eye to frame shots and give precise feedback to the crew, and have excellent communication skills. That is definitely a must. The film director really depends on a lot of successful cooperation of many different creative individuals to possibly make this, whatever the vision is that he's working on, come together. So this is why during this he has to ensure that all the individuals that are working together on the project, everybody has to be on the same accord, have to have the same identical vision in order to make it a must, in order to make it come together. Now, one of the film directors that I really have a great admiration and respect for is Sir Alfred Hitchcock. He is known also as the master of suspense. I love the way in the early days Mr. Hitchcock was able to bring the feel of suspense and thrillers together without using a whole lot of actual violence. They used a lot of implicated violence, but he didn't quite necessarily show violence all the time. And I have a great respect for him. So Mr. Alfred Hitchcock, he was born in August 13th of 1899, and he died on April 29th of 1980. He was born in London, in the United Kingdom, but he died in Bel Air, California, in his sleep. Another film director that I really like, just wanted to mention him as well, was Spike Lee. I like Spike because of the different angles and creative moves that Spike coined into the film industry. So I really like Spike on those levels. For the second job, that is below the line, I chose the film editor. Now, the film editor works with raw footage, selecting shots and combining them into sequences to create a finished idea or finished film. It's an art, but some people also consider it a skill. But one thing about it, it is definitely separating filmmaking from other forms of art. It's become, as some refer to it, the invisible art. When you're doing real well with it, you can, as an instructor told me once, that if you're really doing your job very well as an editor, nobody will ever notice it. But if you're not, They will notice. And so with an editor, you have to be able to put things together in the same fashion, with a complete thought, keeping true to the vision of the director and the producer. And there's 7 rules to editing. Number 1, never make a cut without a positive reason. Rule number 2, when you're undecided about the exact frame to cut on, cut long rather than short. Rule 3, whenever possible, cut in movement. Rule 4, the fresh is preferable to the stale. Rule 5, all scenes should begin and end with continuing action. And rule 6, cut for proper values rather than proper matches. And rule number 7, substance first, then form. And that's some of the skills that it takes to editing. There are 6 main criteria for evaluating a cut or deciding when to cut. And they are, in order of importance: emotion. Does the cut reflect what the editor believes the audience should be feeling at that moment? 2, story. Does the cut advance the story? Rhythm. Does the cut occur at the movement that is rhythmically interesting and right? Next one is eye tracing. Does the cut pay respect to the location and movement of the audience's focus of interest within the frame? It's very important that you make sure that when you're doing your editing. 2-dimensional plane of the screen. Does the cut respect that? The 180 rule. And 3-dimensional space of action. Is the cut true to the physical spatial relationships? That is something that is really important. So it is definitely an art. One of my favorite editors is Lee Smith, who was born in 1960 in Sydney, Australia. Mr. Smith has worked as an editor on projects as The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, and The Truman Show. And I've kind of like his style of editing, especially within the action. It's very fluid, and I like the way that he edits, and I've kind of tried to mimic some of the techniques that he uses in editing too. That's what I chose as far as my jobs above and below the line. Once again, this is Carl Thomas, and thank you for watching.